Morning, everyone. It's 8:50, and it's Thursday, and this is your pre-market opening comment. Asia is down slightly. Europe is mixed after yesterday's horrendous move down. And it's Thursday, so it's continuing an initial claims day, and we have an extra little added additional number here. The first look at GDP. So let's start. Initial claims down again, 751,000. And while that is down week to week, I will remind you that this is an adjustable number, and they adjusted last week back up. Continuing claims also fell, 7,756,000, excuse me, which is also good, still high, but also good. Now, the GDP. This is kind of an interesting number, and I'll explain to you why. The number was up 33.1% on an annualized basis versus last quarter's 32% down. So, what does that actually mean? Well, numbers are a funny thing, and if you don't look too deeply at them, you don't see everything. So, let's just say that the GDP was 100. And last month it lost 31 or 32%. That means that it's now 69, up 33.1%. Does not take it to back before where it was last quarter. It actually takes it up only 22.7. So we went from 100 to 69 to 82 to using round numbers. Most people will just look at it and say, "Oh well, we were down 31% last quarter, and now we're up 33%. Isn't that great?" Well, the answer is it's a move in the right direction, but no, it's not great. Okay, earnings. We had Ford with a big beat. Stock is currently trading 805, up 35. We had AB InBev, also a beat. Nothing overwhelming though. Stock is 53.55, up 53 cents. We had Regeneron with big news on their therapeutic, and the stock is up 13 at 580 and change. It was as high as about 592 last night. Lilly is up slightly. Gilead, which reported numbers, is down, but also only slightly. Tiffany and LVMH got back together, and they lowered the price. All of the commentators are saying, "Oh, geez, well, they saved $430 million on the deal." But in point of fact, the stock was going to be bought at 135. Now it's being bought at 131.50. And while that is $430 million, it's a $16 billion deal. So I'm guessing 430 million is really a drop in the bucket. Airbus reported earnings basically in line with what Boeing did. And I find it interesting that if you put the two charts together, you see that they've been tracking almost exactly the same. And Airbus didn't crash two planes and kill 500 or 600 people. So, the industry is moving as the industry is moving. Shopify with a big beat. It was trading at 1,070, which was up 44. It's currently trading now up 26. And the Dow and the futures have been all over the place. They were actually up well over triple digits overnight. Then they turned back down and were minus 105. And on the numbers here that I gave you, the GDP and the claims numbers, it's now up $4.05. The NASDAQ is up about 59. And the last time I looked at the S&P, it was up about 10 or 11. These are not overwhelming moves, but the chart on the screen really, I think, says it all. This is the oil, and the oil is a proxy for a lot of things, for fuel, for delivering by truck, for generation of electric power. It's really very sensitive to economic growth, and it is in stark contradiction to what we're hearing about industry and GDP. So we have now broken to the downside. We broke the low from back in September. Let me open this up a little so you can get a better idea on a relative basis. And on a relative basis, we rallied off the horrendous negative oil price back here on the expiration of the April contract, and we rallied from essentially minus 40. This is the closest in month, so it doesn't show that, but it does show a low of $6.50, and we come all the way back up to this high around $43. We broke back down, bounced off the line, consolidated, came back down to test, moved higher again, this time only to 41.90, and now we have broken this low. The close here, lowest close since that top was 36.76. Right now we're 35.52. So I think you need to use a little common sense here and focus on what is actually happening in the world, not what you're being told is happening in the world. Okay, folks, that's about it. Oh, by the way, Royal Dutch Shell is a pretty major company. It's headquartered over in Great Britain, on the oil news in general, and they're shutting in of a great deal of their refinery business. It's a really large integrated company. The stock is now 23.10. That's down $1.05, so that's about 4.5%, and that should give you an idea of what the price of oil actually means around the world. One more last item. They're talking about inventories and how they're up, and nobody would be producing inventories if they didn't expect things to get better. I don't expect things to get better on a couple of counts, and the main one, I guess, is the lack of stimulus. We are now looking at, if Trump gets reelected, we might have something in the relative short term. If Biden gets elected, it's going to be February before people get any kind of stimulus. And that not only hurts Christmas sales, the big seasonal fourth quarter, it also affects the ability of a great many individuals and families to not be able to pay rent or pay for, up here in the Northeast, heating oil. And I think that kind of trumps, no pun intended, but that kind of trumps any of the butterflies and lollipops that they're feeding you from Washington. All right, everyone, I'll be back later.